we know GameStop, right? Either you went there as a kid in the glory days for those beautiful midnight releases of games like Grand Theft Auto, Halo 3, and as you probably know now, physical game stores really aren't doing too well. They've basically just been reduced to glorified Funko Pop stores where half of the store is either like trading cards, controllers, consoles, not really any games, and then the rest of the store is Funko Pops. Now, the biggest reason for this is because most people don't really like to collect physical copies, and the people that do will make it their entire personality, having stacks and stacks of games that are probably graded, and anytime you go to talk to them, they'll go, "Have you seen my copy of Final Fantasy VII on the PS1? It's actually graded, and it's worth around $5,000. Now, I remember growing up, I loved to collect physical games, mostly because you couldn't really get them like online, but the experience was great. You know, you were sat in the back of the car, being drove home, you opened it up, you read through the instruction manual, you were looking at the back of the case, and it would just say the most like bland, inane things, but you didn't care. You were hyping yourself up for that experience. Am I nostalgia baiting you right now? Yes, I am. But because of the rise in downloading games digitally, that's kind of died off because again, it's convenient. You know, like I gotta leave my house and I can't talk to my kitten on Discord, and I have to go to the store and talk to a stranger. Oh, I can't do that. No. I'll just go and download the game off Steam. Now, it comes to a personal choice if you want to own a game digitally or not, but then you've got the companies who actually, you know, you play the games on the consoles, and even they've basically started to give up. Like, for example, the PS5 Pro, some models don't even have a disc drive. Now, the biggest reason why half the consoles don't have a disc drive is because there's no games to actually play on, but the point is, physical media is basically being phased out. I mean, I've seen this argument being used before as well. Like, for example, 28 Days Later, because of like a licensing exchange between the film when they were trying to make 28 Years Later, the trilogy. 28 Days Later was pulled from pretty much every single streaming platform. And then you had like 5 people celebrating like, I've got it on DVD. You know, implying that piracy isn't a thing in a video game. I'm talking about Assassin's Creed Sea of Thieves. Of course I am. Now, GameStop, among other stores, has been absolutely rinsed. And this is a thing that's been happening for quite a while. If any of you are watching from the UK, for example, you might remember, and this is like old head knowledge, there was a chain of stores called Game Station. I actually had one near where I lived, and they, you know, sold video games. Pretty much that was all that they sold before the infestation of Funko Pops everywhere. And then that, I think, was bought out or it got rebranded into Game. But Game itself in the UK, that's also suffering a lot. Like, if you go inside now, you'll see it mostly reduced to collectible memorabilia, stuff you'd find in like garbage loot crate boxes, because again, most people aren't buying physical games anymore. I mean, honestly, at this point, I feel the people that are buying physical games that aren't like, you know, steel books or they want to be collectors are basically boomers that have no comprehension of the internet whatsoever. They just know how to put a plug socket in the wall for the PS5, and then they go and buy a game for like their kid. I don't know what you can buy on the PS5, probably like FIFA or Warzone. That's like 90% of what the UK player base has. Now, GameStop in America is being absolutely rinsed at the minute. In 2024, they announced that they were actually closing 600 stores, and I'm sure that they'll probably all be replaced with Taco Bell. Now, GameStop aren't really in the public light anymore. So what did they do? What did they do to get you to care, to talk about them? They put out possibly the most corny, cringy post I have seen in my life. If you don't follow GameStop on Twitter, which, to be fair, I kind of don't blame you for that, you may have actually missed a statement that they put out recently. GameStop declares the console wars are over. We did it, guys. The console wars are over. Not because we found peace or one side won. It's because we both have no games. Whereas for the past 2 decades, the global gaming community has been engaged in an ongoing and increasingly petty conflict known as the console wars. Has anyone cared about the console wars in like the past 5 years? I'm not even doing a bit. I remember, like, you know, Xbox 360, PS3, sure. There was like a lot of hate going on then. You know, because back then you would compare like the best games, like, oh, well, Xbox has Prototype. Oh no, but PS3 has Infamous. That's way better. I mean, look at the new Halo, bro. Like, the new Halo game is literally coming out onto PS5. And then on top of that as well, whenever a game comes out and it's like a Snowy exclusive, it usually comes out on Xbox or PC like a couple of years later anyway. I do like it when a PS5 game comes out on PC years later and then we cope saying, thanks for playtesting. I'll usually buy a game that was on the PlayStation, like for example Days Gone, and then I realize because it's been 3 years, gaming has slightly changed since then, so the game is basically outdated. I mean, okay, wait a minute, Last of Us 2 on PC, and now there's a photo mode and filters? Oh, wow. Still no factions multiplayer, by the way. Notice that. I don't care that we got some like wave survival mode, bro. You don't add factions, I don't care. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. I need to read this post. Whereas said conflict originated in the early 2000s with the release of Halo Combat Evolved as an Xbox exclusive title, whereas Halo Campaign Evolved is officially coming on PlayStation in 2026 with cross-platform play. I will get into, by the way, why this is happening. It's mostly because Xbox have realized that they are screwed. I think they are just losing millions of dollars every year on Xbox. Thankfully, Xbox is backed by Microsoft, and they will just basically be a free money printer. You know, as long as someone has a computer and they don't discover what Linux is, Microsoft is going to make money. Therefore, GameStop, acting under its authority, is a neutral entity and the world's retail gaming and trade in destination, hereby declares the official cessation of the console wars. All claims to exclusivity are hereby dissolved. Console loyalists... This is terrible. Like, what? I'm not joking. What intern wrote this? Are you for real? This is like the most corny band kid thing I have read in my life, dude. Console loyalists are instructed to cease hostilities. Okay, do you know what Twitter is? You posted this on Twitter. Do you know what Twitter is? Are we dead ass? Are we for real? You're asking people to stop being hateful to each other. Like, where's the bit where you're saying that you're going to remove half the store's Funko Pops? That'd be a great start, I think. Disband militias and enjoy this new era of gaming. It's really funny because, you know, whoever wrote this is like, guys, there's enough hate in the world. We need to stop being so negative towards each other. And then the only thing I can think of in my head right now is like someone on the Xbox 360 in a Modern Warfare 2 lobby just screaming slurs over and over. GameStop will continue to operate as a demilitarized zone. I mean, what's that mean, bro? Are you talking about like the North Korean border? Like the border between North and South Korea? Offering hardware, accessories, and trade-ins. Okay, we're really talking about trade-ins at GameStop. Are we really talking about that? I even remember as a kid trading in video games, and it's like you could trade in like 7 games that came out within the past 6 months, and you would probably get about £9.50 for them. You know that game Scrandle online, by the way? That game that like where you compare 2 like pieces of food at like a stadium, and then you pick which one the majority picked. If you see like a really bad one, like let's say something inedible, or like, you know, mushy peas, some pie that's drowning in gravy, that's probably the same price at a stadium as what you would get for trading in like 7 recent games at GameStop. Oh yeah, by the way, they said at the end, power to the players. Power to the golden Thanos Funko Pop, am I right? Apart from this announcement being really, really cringe, I mean, it's mostly harmless, but the big announcement really is that Halo is going over to the PS5, mostly because Microsoft realized how screwed they are. Okay, very confusing. We've got like, how many Halo games? We've got like 6 Halo games, like 5, and then we got the RTS ones, and there's 2 of those, and then there's the DLC, and then also we've got Halo Combat Evolved, and then they remastered it, and now they're remaking it. Oh my god, they're doing The Last of Us 1. How has no one noticed this? They had The Last of Us 1, they remastered it, and then they remade it on The Last of Us 2 engine and ported it over to the first. They are literally copying Sony, and then as tribute, they've had to give Sony the Halo franchise. Now, you may find this surprising. Xbox used to be a huge mainstay in the console market. That is, except if you're in Japan. Apparently, people in Japan, they did not like the Xbox at all. But for the rest of the world, it seemed to sell pretty well. But obviously, keeping Halo stuck on the Xbox wasn't really a good idea for them, mostly because of the fact that, you know, it ends up coming out on PC anyway. Like, for example, we had the Master Chief Collection. That had some issues. That definitely had some issues. But it's probably one of the best ways to, you know, conveniently play every single Halo game. Now, I didn't think this would happen, but somehow, even though we're talking about Halo and the console wars, the US government decided to get involved. So you've got this Twitter account called Rapid Response 47, and they're officially connected to the White House. It's basically like a Twitter drama page version of the US government, and it's even got that gray check mark to prove it. They actually quote tweeted GameStop saying, President Trump presides over the end of the 20-year console war. So it seems they're leaning into the idea that Trump has ended the console war, or he helped end it. Bro, I do not think he has touched a single console in his life. Like, the biggest console he's probably touched is like one of those tablets on the back of an airplane seat. And then on top of that as well, because you know that Trump loves to post AI, they posted an AI-generated image of Trump in a Master Chief cosplay holding an energy sword, to which GameStop then responded with another photo of Trump as Master Chief with an edited image of JD Vance as Cortana. Oh my God. And then there was also this other image as well of like Donald Trump shaking hands with the Master Chief, which if anything, it gives the exact same energy of that image of Leon Kennedy shaking Trump's hand as well, that for some reason people for the longest time thought it was real. Now, I'm going to make a very brave, politically charged statement here that's going to get me cancelled. I don't really think Trump had much of any input in apparently ending the console war. It's obviously just a really bizarre joke that's definitely got out of hand. Now, I wish I could end the video here. Oh, Trump did a little AI image, lol, Lamau, wholesome. But because it's Twitter, everything takes a dark turn. So the Twitter account for the Homeland Security ended up posting an image of soldiers riding in a warthog with the caption, "Destroy the flood, join ICE." ICE, obviously being the Immigration and Customs Enforcement group that the US government is currently using to track down and deport immigrants. I really like the fact that Master Chief is now being used to tackle America's anti-immigration policy. Now, this isn't really out of the norm as well, because if you look at the US Homeland Security account, it has really been schizoing out, posting on main. Recently, they've been uploading like propaganda edits. There was this like governmentally approved little Dark Age edit. Looking at that edit right now, I think MGMT might have reached out and actually got it pulled because you can't even view it anymore. Now, you probably want my take. How's the new Halo going to be? It's going to be all right. I mean, I'll be honest, again, like they've came out multiple times saying that they don't want to beat the original Halo. They just want to be shoulder to shoulder with it, which sounds pretty bad, if anything. It just sounds like you don't really want to innovate. There's sprinting as well, which a lot of people aren't really happy about. I think the first Halo game that had sprinting was maybe Reach, but that was like an armor ability. You were sacrificing other things like armor lock for the two people that use that, unironically. You know, you were sacrificing something, but now you just kind of you're able to sprint. But Halo, to me, was always like kind of a more slower game. Sure, you could jump really high, you can get vantage points, but it was mostly about the kind of weapons you used. Also, the Needler. You know that Needler, the little spiky gun? How it has all the little spikes in it and they get lower and lower and lower when you're like nearly out of ammo? It still does that. And then they added an ammo counter on the back of the gun. Why have they done that? 0 out of 10.